Occupational Licensing Roundup Number 1 by Zvi Moshowitz, October 30th, 2024. We're coming out firmly against it. Our attitude.
Bunnings Warehouse. Dear customer, it is illegal for an unlicensed person to perform regulated gas, plumbing, or drainage work. Stop me.
The customer is always right. Yes, you should go ahead and fix your own damn pipes if you know how to do that, and ignore anyone who tries to tell you different. And if you don't know how to do it, well, it's at your own risk. With notably rare exceptions, it should be the same for everything else. I've been collecting these for a while. It's time. Campaign talk. Harris Wall's platform includes a little occupational licensing reform as a treat. Universal effects and recognition. Ohio's universal licensing law has a big-time innovation, which is that work experience outside the state actually exists and can be used to get a license, WSJ. Occupational licensing decreases the number of black men in licensed professions by up to 19%, and the number of black women up to 22%. There is also the headline finding, which is that overall labor supply is reduced 17% to 27%. Hopefully this can defeat some talking points or get through some of the damage being done. Sununu in New Hampshire proposes universal license recognition for all licensed professions and removal of 34 licenses, elimination of 14 regulatory boards, and almost 780 statutory provisions. A fine start.
Erica Jedinak. 26 states have joined the movement of significant occupational licensing reform, removing government barriers so more Americans can land their dream job. To all the allies part of the original OL coalition, thank you.
NE Regulatory Research Center. Universal licensing recognition is a growing labor market reform for an easier transition of occupation licenses to new states. A new report from the NE Center shows 26 states have passed universal recognition policies since 2013. Read more here.
This is really great. Everyone needs to get on this to the maximum extent possible.
Libby Jameson. Lots of support for license portability. About 83% of 848 registered voters surveyed nationwide said they support rules that allow the use of the licenses wherever military family members may move in the U.S.
The obvious follow-up is indeed why only military. License portability should be universal. 25% of Colorado jobs require a government license. They are at least opening up those jobs to some of the people with criminal records after 3 years via House Bill 1004. Better yet, we could scrap the requirements entirely. Podcast on Utah's approach to occupational licensing reform based on requiring reviews. I am curious how much this ends up improving things. To avoid a publication bias-style problem, I will note I am unconvinced by the paper from Blair and Fisher that notes Angie lead acceptance rates are 21% lower in the presence of occupational licensing requirements, which they attribute to lack of available supply. The problem is that this could be a reflection of things such as lower quality, where low-quality providers accept leads a lot, while high-quality ones can afford to pick and choose. Thus, while I am in general highly convinced such requirements are counterproductive, I don't think this provides strong additional evidence of that. I like this new framing from The Atlantic, calling occupational licensing permission slip culture. Construction. Connecticut requires occupational licensing to work in the trades, such as construction, which is leading to a worker shortage. Doctors and nurses. Doctors from abroad permitted to practice in Tennessee starting 2025, other states following suit. Yes, this is the right thing to do given a shortage, also without a shortage. Presumably this will form a natural experiment that shows it goes great, and the AMA will fight with all its might to stop it from spreading. This seems pretty great.
Scott Lincecum, New Paper. State laws granting nurse practitioners full practice authority, FPA. Reduces total healthcare costs for diabetics by approximately 20% in urban areas, and reduces rural usage of advanced medical services for diabetics by about 10%.
That is one of those effect sizes so big it is suspicious. Hot damn. Florists, we won a local victory on this one.
Shoshana Weissman. Holy shit, it finally happened, tell the others. No more florist licensing in Louisiana. I'm going to have to make an example out of some other state. The origins of reform have a really horrible story. Elderly widow Sandy Meadows died in poverty because the government wouldn't let her be a florist. After Meadows' husband passed away, she had little money or education. She found a way to support herself by managing the floral department of a local grocery, until Louisiana Horticulture Commission threatened to shut it down unless it hired a licensed florist. The exam required they arrange 4 bouquets in 4 hours. The results were judged by a panel of licensed Louisiana florists, who OBV viewed applicants as competitors. The passage rates for the exam were below 50%. Even longtime florists often failed it. One licensed florist in the state described the test as nothing more than a hazing process. Ultimately, because she could not pass the exam, the grocery store had to let Meadows go.
You have to admire the chutzpah of such groups. Well, no, you don't, but you should.
Louisiana State Florists Association, Inker HB 933 was approved by the Senate Agriculture, Forestry, Aquaculture, and Rural Development Committee yesterday by a unanimous vote. It now goes before the Senate for vote. HB 933 completely deregulates the retail florist industry and floral wholesale industry in our state. It replaces our retail floral license with a flower dealer permit. Anyone who chooses to purchase this permit will be allowed to do so without any verification of education regarding floriculture. It also allows permit holders to purchase all floral product wholesale. Wholesalers will now be allowed to sell arrangements to the public. We successfully defeated similar legislation in the past. Sadly, we were unsuccessful in defeating HB 933. We sincerely thank all who supported our effort to defeat HB 933 and wish all continued success in your careers and businesses. Kathy Saunier, President, Louisiana State Florists Association.
Chris Retford, someone should send them flowers.
Clark Neely. If you follow me or have read my book Terms of Engagement, you may think I heap excessive scorn on the rational basis test. But I assure you that's metaphysically impossible, as this excerpt from the DCT opinion upholding the florist licensing law shows.
Opinion. Plaintiffs have argued that the government's asserted interest in public health and safety is not rationally related to the florist licensing scheme because it is uncommon for persons to be injured by improperly assembled floral arrangements. Plaintiffs argue that people handle millions of unlicensed floral arrangements around the world every year without being harmed. However, the evidence in the record does reveal and support Louisiana's concern for the safety and protection of the general public. For example, Ben Knight, the retail florist for the state of Louisiana, testified as follows. I believe that the retail florist does protect people from injury, the public and their own people. We're very diligent about not having an exposed pick, not having a broken wire, not have a flower that has some type of infection, like dirt that remained on it when it's inserted into something they're going to handle, and I think that because of this training, that prevents the public from having any injury. The fact that other states may not choose to regulate a particular industry does not foreclose Louisiana from regulating that industry. The court finds that the decision of the state of Louisiana to regulate the floral industry and to license those engaged in the industry by administering a floral licensing examination is rationally related to the state's desire that floral arrangements will be assembled properly in a manner least likely to cause injury to a consumer and will be prepared in a proper, cost-efficient manner. Thus, the court finds that the examination is rationally related to the government interest of public welfare and safety.
Seriously, burn it all to the ground. No occupational licenses for anything. Nuke from orbit. Only way to be sure. Replace with insurance requirements where it feels necessary. If we make a handful of mistakes that way, well, that is a price I am willing to pay. Fortune-telling. Pennsylvania, unexpectedly, outlaws fortune-telling. Pennsylvania.
Zoe Greenberg. The incident also drew attention to the fact that despite its widespread popularity, fortune-telling and related arts are indeed illegal in Pennsylvania, punishable by 6 to 12 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. Pennsylvania statute forbids residents from pretending for gain or lucre to tell fortunes or predict future events by cards, tokens, the inspection of the head or hands of any person, and from promising to stop bad luck or to give good luck, or to win the affection of a person, or to make one person marry another. Selling astrology readings and tarot readings are illegal too.
The standard defense is to say the readings are for entertainment purposes only, except no, they're not. There is a strong argument for the level of enforcement we see described here. The whole thing is centrally a fraud. Most of the time it is a harmless and fun one that many people get something out of. There are also ways to use the tools responsibly. You can get real utility, as I have, out of a tarot reading by using it to figure out what you really think and explore possibilities. Cold reading can allow the providing of useful advice and is a fun game. Magic is not what its proponents claim to outsiders, but it is less fake than most people reading this think. However, this goes hand in hand with actually malicious fraud, as the way, at least, many fortune tellers and other such folks make most of their money is to sell high-priced services to vulnerable victims who they very much defraud and prey upon. So the idea is that when that happens, and it comes to the authorities' attention, they can reliably crack down without having a high burden of proof. If no one complains, everything is fine, police have better things to do. Therefore, customers hold the balance of power and have to be treated well. Not the first best solution to the problem, but it mostly works. Hair. By default, you get things like this, and they say it like they are proud of it.
Governor Ned Lamont, Democrat, Connecticut. By requiring inclusive hair education for cosmetology licenses, we can ensure that all hair types and textures are properly cared for. This law supports our diverse communities and sets a new standard for excellence in beauty services. I'm proud Connecticut is leading the way.
St. Louis has signed a bill legalizing cutting hair after 6:30 p.m. Good for St. Louis, but that just raises further questions. Olivia French in D.C., who was appointed by Mayor Bowser, has been selling cosmetology and barber licenses to unqualified students for thousands of dollars. 4 notes. 1. Unqualified students. That's not a thing. This is hair. 2. Good. 3. This is an estimate of how much value is lost when we require these courses. 4. If you elect a Mayor Bowser, I don't really know what you were expecting. Do people believe in the need for all this nonsense? Yes, they really, really do. Not all of them, but a remarkable fraction of them.
Basil, poll. Should you need a license to cut hair? Yes, 29.2%. No, 70.8%.
It was up at 40% earlier, before it was circulating in different circles.
Emmett Shear. The replies to this thread blow my mind. People legit believe the state needs to protect them from bad haircuts by ensuring hairstylists meet training standards. I've never seen the nanny state mind virus, timorous overprotectionism, on clearer display.
Here are the top 4 comments in order.
Capybara Enjoyer. I don't understand why barbers are always the first criticism of occupational licensing. There's a lot of potential chemical and hygiene issues in the job. Some states might overdo it, but I don't get why this is a job used to highlight why licensing is bad. Infections are risky.
John Swifty. My girlfriend tried cutting my hair once, and I called the cops on her. Gotta stay safe. I almost experienced something without the explicit consent of the government.
Andrew Works. Seeing as it could impact one's life, such as looking unprofessional during a job interview, I say yes.
Jake Thompson. Yes, but only if you are giving shaves. I'm of the opinion that barbering needs a license because, like, you could literally kill someone. We need to prevent more Sweeney Todd situations.
The reason to require a license is if reputational effects don't work.
Among the wildflowers. There is no reason we should require cosmetologists to have a license. Trust me, if someone fucks up a woman's haircut, everyone within a 10-mile radius will know about it. We don't need a license to prove we can cut hair. Cut it out.
Alas, instead, Michigan is going to make things even worse.
Image, profession, cosmetology instructor. Current requirement, 500 hours. Proposed requirement, 600 hours. Profession, manicurist. Current requirement, 400 hours. Proposed requirement, 600 hours. Profession, esthetician. Current requirement, 400 hours. Proposed requirement, 750 hours.
It seems that there is a federal rule that to get financial aid for your unnecessary occupational licensing training, the hours of training from the program have to match the required hours. That's an obvious sign that no one cares about actually teaching things. Too few hours is illegal, and also too many is almost de facto illegal too. So the schools involved that were training for too many hours threw a fit, and lawmakers caved, increasing the requirements to match. A pure case of that which is not forbidden is compulsory, and that which is not compulsory is forbidden. Needless to say, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. 600 hours to become a manicurist. What? New York requires 250? Even that seems utterly crazy. I don't even know what the theory of something going wrong is, beyond our wages might fall. Lawyers. It is bold to write the case that the world needs more lawyers. Given what I keep paying when I need lawyers in order to safely do regular business, one could make a case. What we need is not more lawyers. We need more ability to do legal work. One way to do that is more lawyers. The Post has better suggestions. Another strategy is to let lawyers more easily move jurisdictions, or change the requirements to eliminate counterproductive requirements, such as those that discourage seeking professional help with mental health and pointless in practice CLE requirements. Another is to open up more of the basic work to other trained professionals, or where feasible AIs and other computer programs. Another is allowing non-lawyers to own legal service companies, which Arizona has experimented with thanks to a court ruling, with good results. We have a lot of knobs we could turn if the lawyers who run our government wanted the price of legal services to go down rather than go up. 4 states have stopped requiring the bar exam to practice law. This is being reported as a DEI run rampant story, whereas it is actually a DEI allows sanity story. Yes, obviously, the bar exam, like all licensing requirements, is an unnecessary block to black individuals becoming attorneys, because it is such a block for all people looking to become attorneys. Is it disproportionate? I don't care. What matters are results, not rhetoric. I am totally fine with using unnecessary regulation. X is bad for Group Y, as a reason to get rid of unnecessary regulation X that is bad for everyone. More of this, please. Magicians. Let's see them get out of this one.
Shoshana Weissman. Someone asked me, I can't believe this exists. Occupational licensing for magicians.
Image, profession, magician. License description. Magicians must have a certificate of registration. Applicants must 1. Be at least 21 years old. 2. Provide a letter of experience. 3. Provide a list of safety precautions used. Visit the Fire Marshal's office website for more information. Fees may be subject to change. Fees are: Magician Certificate, $27.50. Licensing Agency, Nevada State Fire Marshal. Active status, active. Criminal record, no criminal record prohibitions. License type, standalone license. License updated January 14, 2016.
Military spouses. Colorado signs bill for licensing recognition for military spouses, making it easy to get their out-of-state credentials respected. The obvious question is, why not do this for everyone? But I'll take it. It works. Full recognition of military spouse licenses for registered nurses increases the probability of employment mobility by around 12%, while more restrictive reforms have the opposite effect. Obviously, if you make licenses more portable, employment will be more portable. The effect size being large is worth confirming, though. The question is, what about all those dastardly nurses who are truly qualified to work in Ohio but not in Arkansas, or vice versa? Mountain climbing. Wait, what? Not yet, but...
Shoshana Weissman. So this is my new enemy, I guess.
AP. The youngest woman to climb all of the world's 14 tallest peaks calls for novices to be regulated.
a British mountaineer who set the record as the youngest female to climb all the 14 tallest mountains in the world, said Thursday that inexperienced climbers should not be allowed to climb the highest peaks because they run the risk of endangering their lives and others.
This isn't an unusually crazy or stupid proposal. The other occupational licenses that actually exist are often exactly this crazy or stupid. Music. I think this is real? A law introduced in Kentucky to license music therapists? As in, people who play recorded music? Nurses.
Preston Cooper. All on board with banning legacy admissions. But TBH, this probably would have been the more consequential California higher ed policy change.
Quick hits. Newsom vetoed 2 bills that would have allowed some community colleges to offer bachelor's degrees in nursing, a contentious idea in the state's rigid higher ed system despite nursing shortages.
Preston Cooper. The California State University opposes both bills, viewing them as undermining a promise lawmakers made 2 years ago that community colleges wouldn't issue bachelor's degrees that duplicate existing Cal State programs. Cartel's gonna cartel.
Cal Matters. Update. On September 27th, Governor Gavin Newsom announced he had vetoed both bills. In his veto messages, Newsom urged community colleges to work with colleges and universities that already issue bachelor's degrees in nursing programs. He said he worried that these bills to allow community colleges to award their own bachelor's degrees in nursing would undermine those existing partnerships.
He also noted that the state has recently given both community colleges and the California State University more freedom to create new degree programs and that a pause should be taken to understand their full impact before additional authorities are granted. Quote that the next time someone says you should take Newsom's veto explanations as words that have meaning. Physical therapists. New York is going to require physical therapists to hold doctorates, 60 more credits than previously required. The reasons given are only slightly paraphrased when I summarize them as rent-seeking. The insiders told us to restrict market entry. Whatever could be causing all this rent-seeking. Shoshana is lying. Paper.
Scott Lincecum. New paper finds a striking increase in the probability of new occupational licensing regulation immediately following the creation of a state professional association. Within 5 years, an occupation is about 15 percentage PTs more likely to be regulated.
Shoshana Weissman, I can't imagine why.
Paper. Conclusion. In this paper, we have examined the origins and evolution of occupational licensing requirements in the United States through the lens of the incentives of policymakers and market participants. Consistent with the predictions of our model, occupations that plausibly pose a greater risk to consumers are more likely to be licensed, and were licensed earlier on average relative to other occupations. Second, we find that the number of workers per capita is the most important determinant of regulatory timing with occupations, imply that larger interest groups are more likely to become regulated. Finally, political organization, as measured by the establishment of state professional associations, significantly increases the probability of regulation shortly after their founding.
Masks off, how do you do, fellow rent-seekers?
Shoshana Weissman. Actual inbox from someone who runs license testing in FL. There is nothing wrong keeping people from other states from stealing construction business from already established, licensed, and insured Florida contractors. Yikes.
Well then.
Adam Morris. After Harvey, there were people whose houses weren't fixed for 2 to 3 years, in part because there weren't enough contractors available to handle all the work. After a hurricane, not enough work for local contractors to do is not the problem.
Tornado relief, same as it ever was.
Matt Welch, volunteer tree trimmer. Fined $275, told to leave Minneapolis after helping tornado victims outside his assigned area.
Even if we are not going to fix occupational licensing in general, we should do it in emergency situations via permanent known rules that get triggered when there is a hurricane or other similar event. Pretty much everything.
Legal Style blog. The list of businesses which require a license in Los Angeles County is hilariously specific. Bookstores, rifle ranges, ambulettes, hog ranches, taxi dancers, are there any in 2024, peddlers, bottle washing, raw horse meat.
Image. List of business activities that require a Los Angeles County business license in post.
This has been an episode of the Don't Worry About the Vase podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please visit thezv.substack.com to support the author. If you enjoy having AI-narrated episodes, please note this is a listener-supported podcast. To receive new posts and support the cost of creation, consider becoming a subscriber at dwatvpodcast.substack.com. Thanks for listening.